What is up, IDP Army? It's your man, Jordan Rains. We are back again with another episode of the IDP Army podcast, powered by Semi Pro Fantasy Pros. What's up, y'all? Good to be back. Good to be here with you. Nothing too crazy today, but I did have some questions coming in. We're shifting in that dynasty mindset, a lot of value questions. So I wanted to go over a few of those. Anybody that joins in the live stream, obviously drop your questions in there as well. I'll try to get to those as best I can. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you thumbs up this video. I'm going to smash this intro, and then we're going to get right into it today.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
All right, we're back. Thank you for being here with me. We have a whole lot of stuff to cover. And any questions, like I said, you guys have, get to us. We got the fantasy football playoffs are over. Fantasy football is basically over unless you are playing on Underdog Fantasy, which you can do right here. Join me on Underdog right now. They have a deposit match bonus up to $100 for your first time deposit. It's basically daily fantasy football with a draft format. They also have some tournaments going on through the playoffs. You can sign up for a couple of those. Go in there, click on there, and join with us. There's a link down in the description. We would appreciate you guys being there with us. We're going to be doing a lot of content around the platform Underdog and their best ball fantasy format. It's something we like. We appreciate it. It's really fun to play. And as fantasy football continues to grow and change, we will be with them there on Underdog. So join us there. I'm kind of browsing the news before we hopped on. There's a lot more coaching news than really player type news right now. Nick Bosa, I did see, made it through the concussion protocol. That was kind of, I don't know how I feel about that because he just played the other day. I don't know. It seems like maybe he shouldn't have made it through, but they want to push him through. But I don't really have any deep comments on that. I'm sure he cleared it. So it is all fine and dandy. Sorry about that. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Derrick Henry coming back for the playoffs. Zadarius Smith got activated. There's another big IDP name for you guys back in the mix. Don't really know what he's going to be doing next year. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to some of these questions. Like I said, if you're coming in, you're joining the live stream, thank you. Thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Leave any questions you have. But I did have a few questions come in from some people around the fantasy space. This one came in the other day from somebody on our Discord over on the IDP Army Patreon. I thought it was a pretty good question. It says, what is the current, what is Patrick Queen's current dynasty trade value? And so I went to the Ultimate IDP Index, where I have a lot of stuff. It's my main tool. It's my main product for the fantasy football community. And I was kind of looking at what I had him at in the index. And I had him as a second round pick plus. And I thought that might be a little rich. So I started looking over some of the numbers that he did this year. And I was right, basically in how I felt about that. Even though it was his second year, it wasn't as good a season for Patrick Queen as we would have hoped. He actually ended up turning in fewer snaps than he did his rookie season, which I was kind of shocked to see. Only 826 total snaps this year compared to 858 as a rookie. You don't like to see guys going down, from their sophomore to their rookie year, especially when they have an extra game added. Did not like that. Other things I saw that I really wasn't a huge fan of. I mean, granted the tackle or, the snaps were fewer. The tackles were fewer as well. Quarterback hits were down as well. So, he's not as productive as we wanted him to be, not as productive as we thought he would be, not as productive as he appeared to be in certain games as a rookie. I don't really know what's going on with this whole team right now. Honestly, I just saw actually before I came on, the Ravens fired their longtime defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, I think is his name. So that was kind of a shocker. He was a big part of bringing in Calais Campbell, then bringing in Yannick last year or 2 years ago towards their playoff run. drafting away, drafting Patrick Queen. I mean, this defense is supposed to be good. It has been good in years past, but it really kind of slipped up a little bit this year. They lost Matt Judon. Circling all the way back around to Patrick Queen. I think right now his dynasty value, or what I have him at the index, is a second round pick. Back end second, maybe even a high end third plus some. He's going to be a viable starter for you, I think, for a while. I don't know what his true upside is. Now, what does he have going for him? He's still very young. Just 22 years old, only second year in the league. Going to get a new DC this next year. So there's still things to like. It's probably a good time to buy Patrick Queen, but his dynasty value is not as high as it was coming into the season. So that's kind of where I, to answer that question in the Discord, that's kind of how I'm viewing him right now. So there was another question I saw. I don't remember if this one was, I think this one came in on Facebook. I need to mark these next time, but it was about Roquan Smith. So the question is Roquan Smith, linebacker, or 2022 106, 105 and 106. That's a typo on my part, guys. I'm sorry. I think I can actually fix that right now on the fly. 105 and 106. Yeah. IDP only dynasty, very relevant here. IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring, also relevant. My thought process here is with Roquan Smith, you have one of the top IDP dynasty assets that exist right now in the index. He is I believe he's our third overall, most valuable IDP defensive player in the NFL, only behind TJ Watt and Darius Leonard right now for me in the index. So at 106 and 105, do I think you're going to be able to get a player that can replace that? Honestly, I don't think you can. This year at 105, 106, I mean, you want to get Nakobe Dean. That's the other Georgia linebacker that's coming out this year. He's probably the one guy you're going to want to get who could potentially replace Roquan, and you're not going to get him at 5 in an IDP only draft. And again, this is an IDP only draft. If it was the 101 and maybe like the 104, you might be able to make a case for that. And this is without even seeing who other linebackers you have on your team for this guy. So I still think Roquan is going to be a player you're going to want to keep around for a while. Only, 24 years old, 24, almost 25. He's got 5-6 more years of solid production in him. No reason to go moving on from a player like that. So let's see here. Got a question in the chat from Hombra Vendor. This is Billy from the Offensive Points podcast. What's up, Billy? He says, in your opinion, is Quincy Williams a sell? Now, I think the Jets will address linebacker in the offseason. What say you? Yeah, he's probably a sell. But I don't know who's going to pay a lot for him. That's my thing right now. Maybe you can get a third for him or a fourth. But he's not a bad player to kind of just have laying around. We've seen him come through in a big way for people a couple of times in the last couple of years. So that's kind of a tough one. But I think, selling him, if you can get a decent return for him, you should definitely always be selling if you can get a decent return for anybody. So, all right. We had another question come in. This one was from the Patreon or from the Discord. And this was a really good question. It says, price value check on Kyzir White, linebacker, in terms of picks. Now, I'm assuming this is probably a combined regular dynasty league. First and foremost, I think it's important to talk about Kyzir White, the player, just what he did this year. He's not a player you're going to hear about. The mainstream media is probably never going to speak his name. Dude was 8th in solo tackles this season. All right. 8th in solo tackles on the Chargers. They probably mention every other defender on the team but him. That's a lot of tackles. 7 of them being tackles for loss, 144 total, 2 interceptions, 3 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles. That's a big season for a guy 21 years old, okay? Or 25 years old. Been in the league. This is his 4th season. This is his first time really getting thrown a full-time starting gig. Last year, he did come in when Drew Tranquill got hurt, played a little bit for him, and then when Kenneth Murray got out, he was out there again. Very useful for IDP, especially in the weeks that he played. He eventually got hurt towards the end of the season. Ended last year with 77 combined tackles. Basically came out and doubled that this year. He looks like he's going to be a staple on this team. He might actually be looking to get a new contract from them. I would be interested to watch this situation. Now, in terms of picks, I was looking. He is one of the handful of players that I do not have sorted into the Ultimate IDP Index. There are a little over 190 IDP players in there. He's one of the guys I need to get in there. Al Shazier, another linebacker from the 49ers, is another guy I need to get in there. They will be put in there soon, but I'm kind of, without having my reference of what I want to pay for him, I'm going to have to kind of do this one off the cuff. But I thought about it this afternoon, and with the kind of production he's giving you, with the career trajectory we're looking at with Kenneth Murray, you know, he's a sneaky buy, you know, if you can get him for a third from somebody thinking they're going to get one over on you. You know, I mean, especially for a linebacker in his situation where, you know, his situation is unique, where he's been put into the position over and over again where they didn't think he would succeed, and he has been successful. 144 combined tackles, you know, and picks. I think a third is a fair price for Kyzir White. That could change, you know, if something goes awry again with Kenneth Murray, if they do over commit to him, you know, if they throw this guy a contract, they throw White a contract that looks pretty nice, you know, his value could definitely be going up. So yeah, I think you can probably get a third for him. That's probably that area that I would start looking at, players in that area, you know. Sneaky dynasty buy for you that's an offensive player, Curtis Samuel. This is just kind of a tangent, but Curtis Samuel, low key, had some very similar looking numbers to Deebo Samuel before this last year. Now, this last year, Deebo Samuel took off. People have been talking about Curtis Samuel taking off for a while. If you go look at their you know, seasons, last couple there, 2 years ago for Curtis Samuel, 2 years ago for Deebo Samuel, there might be something there. So there's a little secret offensive nugget hidden away in the IDP show for you. All right. Yo. Hustler's in here. What up, my man? Hustler, good to see you, bro. Hope everything's going well. All right. What else we got going on here? I had a couple more questions in. And listen, if you're watching and you have questions, please do not be afraid to drop them in here. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Ooh, this is a fun one. Okay. This was a fun one. I found this one on a Facebook group I'm in, a Facebook IDP group. And it says, what are some of your favorite DL and linebacker targets on the Sleeper app? Now it's DL/LB. He was looking for some guys who are dual designated. That's one of the things I love about Sleeper. It's one of the reasons we play on Sleeper mostly. It's one of the reasons Sleeper is taking over the entire fantasy football market shares, because they listen to people and they make fantasy football intuitive and fun. Now, after saying all that, you know, Rashawn Gary, Josh Allen, those are the two names that came to mind immediately for me. Rashawn Gary and Josh Allen, both part of that really prolific pass rushing class in 2018, 19, 2 years ago now, whatever 2 years ago class was. Same class as Nick Bosa, same class as Max Crosby, same class as Montez Sweat. Rashawn Gary, Josh Allen. Fell off a little bit last year, kind of a quieter season. Rashawn Gary really couldn't get snaps because Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith. But those are two guys that, you know, Josh Allen came back with a full force this year, DL and linebacker eligible. Really like Gary. Popped a little bit, but didn't put up anything too gaudy. So I think you're still going to be able to find him on there on Sleeper at a reasonable price. A few other guys I like on there that do have dual designations. I mean, you can take advantage of it for Bradley Chubb, but he did not have a good year this year from an IDP standpoint. So, I mean, you know, if you want to buy the dip, go check that out. Harold Landry, he's been one of my favorite players for a long time. He's dual designated on there. I like Shaq Barrett. He's dual designated as well. Azeez Ojulari. Okay, this is a sneaky one for you. Finished as defensive lineman 37 this year. That's right on the outside of a defensive lineman 3. 9 sacks. Okay, there's another guy dual designated, Azeez Ojulari. I like him as a target on the Sleeper app, and as a player that's going to just continue to get better. Again, 9 sacks, was 8 or 9 sacks this year. I can't remember for some reason all of a sudden. But man, I mean, because of all of the nonsensical stuff that's sort of happening, because of the circus that is New York football, it probably went under the radar that Azeez Ojulari has 49 total tackles this year, 13 quarterback hits, 8 tackles for loss, 8 sacks. Okay, it wasn't 9, it was 8. Still a good number for a rookie. What kind of snaps we put up this season? Played 780 snaps. Okay. That's a good number of snaps for a rookie. Man, that's a good number of snaps. Like that. Look at some percentages here. He had a week he played upwards of 9. He played 90% of snaps against Philly week 12. That's wild. Huh. I mean, wow, for a rookie to come out and to really kind of command that kind of the share that he had as a pass rusher. One, it speaks to the fact that pass rushers are not the strength of the New York Giants, but two, it speaks to him being a good pass rusher, in my opinion. Okay, got a good one here from Hombra Vendor. Billy coming in. Travis Gibson is a fantastic buy now in the dual designation. I love that. Fun story about Travis Gibson. Billy and the boys are going to the Senior Bowl in 2 weeks. Shout out to them. Shout out to us. I met Travis Gibson at the Senior Bowl, and one of the things, okay, I wasn't really prepared for the Senior Bowl, so one of my questions for all the guys was, what's your favorite episode of The Office? But I forgot, but I'm essentially a decade older than these guys now at this point in my life. So most of them didn't know what The Office was, if you can believe that. Okay. First off, I was shocked. But then after I got the third or fourth guy being like, I don't know what The Office is, I about gave up. But I asked Travis Gibson. He watches The Office. Okay. So he's a good one. Travis Gibson. So Billy says he's a buy. I believe Billy. He did look really good at the Senior Bowl. But he came from Tulsa. I don't know. I only know that because I actually talked to him. I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, too, so maybe that's why I remember that. But he didn't have an amazing year this year, but he definitely showed up, and he was earning his way onto the field, progressing. As a pass rusher that wasn't drafted highly, he is stuck around. I believe this is his second year. He's earning some snaps. So, yeah, that's a good call there by Billy. All right. Here's a fun question I had. What's Jordan Brooks' dynasty value after a breakout sophomore season? Yeah, this is a tough one. And I mean, we're talking breakout season. The guy had the most solo tackles in the NFL with 109. Okay, 10 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 5 pass deflections. Didn't do a lot in the impact play department. Cumulative here looks like only 17. Not anything you're like, super pumped about. Not bad though. And when you're putting up 184 combined tackles, it's okay. There's room for improvement. Let's put it that way. 24 years old, sophomore this year. Bobby Wagner more or less out of the picture going forward. Really like Jordan Brooks' trajectory. Right now in the index, I moved him up a little bit today. He is in the second tier. He's in tier 2. And I've got his dynasty value as a second plus. Okay, so if you're in a mixed league, and you're looking I use draft picks. That's the way I address trades from offense to defense. Is I use a converter, okay, so to speak. An equation. There's a conversion of energy or whatever, conversion of fantasy value. It's a pick. Okay, a pick doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't score you points. It doesn't do anything, but it's valuable. Okay, it's an exchange of goods and services. It's a middle ground. It's a bridge, so to speak. That's what a pick is. So I think a second plus seems like a fair price for him right now. This year you're probably going to be able to get some pretty decent IDP players. Nakobe Dean, I think Billy would know more about this. He'll probably be available with a high second, maybe back in first. But I think Jordan Brooks, he's already gone through the rookie year where he didn't do anything. We won't have to worry about that. He's come out and proven to us that he can be super productive. So we know that he's set up for that right now. So I think a second plus is a good place to go. I wouldn't take anything under a mid-second for him. And again, it's got to be a little dependent on your starting lineup and your league scoring, and your team. I mean, are you what kind of linebackers you got? He might be worth less to you than somebody else, or he might be worth more. Every league is a unique setup. So yeah, that was a pretty big one I had on there. Jordan Brooks, he was one of my favorite sleepers coming to the year. Talked about him a decent bit. I did not expect him to blow up the way that he did. Again, coming in with the second most combined tackles of the season. But, hindsight's 2020. But when you look at the way Seattle's team was this year, spending tons and tons of time on the field, similar to the Atlanta Falcons, where it's like their defense just never left the field. And they were always behind, so they were always getting run on. So their linebackers were able to just pile up points after point after point after point. So I don't necessarily see that changing for Jordan Brooks. Do we think the quarterback next year is going to be better for the Seahawks? I don't know. Maybe not. Is Pete still there? I don't know. So that's neither here nor there, really. Jordan Brooks, I'm definitely in on him. I have him, he was pretty cheap guy to get in drafts a couple years ago. But yeah, I think if you want to push forward for the second, like a third, you know, push like a second, and I don't know, like a Mecole Hardman type, or you know, similar player to that. You know, guys like that you think are gonna flame out, like a Jalen Reagor. I don't know. That's where I'd start. See what you can do in that area for him. So, all right. Any more comments, questions in the chat? If you do have them, hit me with them, and I will answer them for you. If not, I don't really have a whole lot else to say. You know, just keep following the channel, keep subscribing to the podcast. We got new shows coming up all the time. You know, the Offensive Points Boys, they have a good show going right now. The Terrestrial Take Show has been going really good. That's a new one on there. You know, I'm going to be trying to bring you guys more of the IDP Army again. Obviously, we're trying to get things done behind the scenes, working on the index, getting that up to snuff. It's a lot of hard work, but we're prepping for you guys. I mean, it's a new season already. We are just excited and blessed to be here in this position to, you know, go through the draft process with you, the NFL draft process with you, the rookie draft process with you, the best ball draft process with you, the redraft process with you, all of fantasy football, and give you our takes and our opinions on the good stuff. So, got some guests coming up on the channel in the near future. Don't want to tip my hand too much, but we pretty much bag. I won't say who we got yet. We got some good people coming on though. So if you're a Cowboys fan, you'll like one of the guys we got coming. I'll just say that. So that's all for me. This has just been, like I said, basically a mailbag and a news update show. If you have more questions, join our Patreon, patreon.com/the IDP Army. Get in on the Discord, drop questions in there. I'm going to be doing my best to answer as many of those as I can going forward, especially in the off season. I want you guys to build teams that are going to be super, you know, powerhouses in your leagues next year. So let's get it. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Thumbs up this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast feed. Give us a 5-star rating. You can do that now on Spotify as well as iTunes. It would mean the world to us if you did that. So, from me, from the OP boys, from the Terrestrial Takes boys, from all the little boys and girls over here at Semi Pro Fantasy, we are